Good evening and welcome to Earth to the Other Side. My name is John, your host. And tonight, well, first of all, let me apologize for sort of disappearing for a while. Excuse me, it's not because I'm sick. Just was going through sort of a transition and also new space. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. But sorry for not letting you guys know about it. I should have been a little bit more forthcoming with what was happening. But I'm back and glad to be back. I missed you guys so much. I missed, doing the interviews, editing them, posting them, and your feedback, which is so incredible. And I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed and everyone who's watching. Thank you so much. Speaking of that, please do subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And it seems that half of you that watch this channel aren't actually subscribed. So please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. All right, so tonight's show is it's just me. I'm going to talk about my NDEs, and a lot of you have asked about it, and so I figured I'd sort of put out an official episode about my NDE. So it's kind of I'm gonna tell it in kind of like a weave. A little inside joke to my American friends. Technically, my first near-death experience, if it was a near-death experience, was when I was only a week or two old, less than 2 weeks, less than 14 days old. It came to me as a reoccurring dream. So quite often I would wake up in the morning and I would have this reoccurring dream that I was in like an orphanage kind of thing. And all I could see were like rows and rows of cribs with these bars on them. And I remember just laying there on my back, and then a whole other perspective presented itself where I was like looking down at everything, and like I felt like I was with someone, but I couldn't see them. Again, I couldn't see them, but I was definitely with someone, and we were communicating, even though I was only days old. And this being was kind of pointing out that, well, I guess I had sort of observed that through the cribs, I could see the other babies. I guess I had my head turned, or I was on my side, or whatever. And I saw that other babies had these tutus, or I don't know what you call them where you are. I call them, I always call them stuffed animals, but I didn't have one. And I could see from the perspective above, I could see where I was and that I didn't have anything. And the message was just very simple, that what is what is meant to be, and that everything was going to be fine. And everything was fine. So that was pretty much the end of that. I had this as a recurring dream, as I mentioned, quite often. Sometimes I would just wake up remembering it, almost like a memory that I dreamt it, but I didn't necessarily have the dream. Anyway, several years later, when, like 30 years later, 32 years later, actually, when I met my birth mother, because I was adopted as a baby, this is when I found out that I actually was, there was this period of time in between being born at the hospital and being placed with my family that I grew up with, that raised me, where I was in this, quite literally an orphanage. That's what they called them in the 70s anyways, and with a whole bunch of other babies. And I guess I was placed there until everything with the adoption was finalized. So I found that interesting, because I never knew this. It was brand new information that I got from my birth mother. And the first thing, of course, that occurred to me was, or that I came to my head, was that dream, that what I thought was a reoccurring dream. In that moment, I realized that it was definitely not. It was something that actually happened. And like my NDE, it instantly became a memory, like an official memory. Like I remembered it now, you know? So, so that's the story of the first one. And when I realized that, it also kind of connected the dots, and made a lot of other things make sense to me. Just as a kid, all the woo-woo things that would happen to me. On to my near-death experience. It's not a typical NDE with, you know, a lot of details and all kinds of beings and things like that. I didn't have that kind of experience. So what happened was, when I was in grade one, I was 6 years old, and here in Montreal, in Canada, we have some pretty cold winters, a lot of ice. And in the schoolyard, there were some sheets of ice, some of which you couldn't really see. I don't know if I saw the ice or not. It's kind of irrelevant. Everything happened so fast. But what did actually happen was, a buddy of mine had taken off my winter hat as a joke and ran off with it. So I went to chase him to go get it, and I slipped on the ice and fell and hit my head. And so initially, the story goes, I fell, I hit my head, and the next thing I knew, I was inside the school, inside the classroom. There's actually a door that led from the outside yard that we played in right into our classroom. So I was in our classroom, and sitting at some random desk and feeling very nauseous, and I ended up throwing up. And I guess passing out, because the only thing I remember following that was waking up in the hospital and seeing my parents. So, no, I did not tell my parents about this. I mean, I remember vividly them standing there when I woke up, asking me how I was. And I remember, I think it was my dad asking me what had happened, and explaining to them what I just explained to you, and that's it. So, so I didn't think, what happened to me, what occurred during this near-death experience, was something that I could discuss with my parents. It wasn't even so much at the time that they were, Christians and religious people, churchgoers, whatever you want to say, call it. I just didn't feel comfortable telling them. I didn't think they would. I think at the time I probably thought they would think I was crazy. So I imagine that I just must have repressed this and just gone on with my life, forgetting about it entirely until just a few years ago, in a meditation. My guide came to me in a meditation and sort of just opened a gate to this memory of my NDE back in grade one. And suddenly I remembered everything, like everything. Not that there was a lot, but I remembered every detail, like it just happened yesterday. So that's what I'm going to share with you now. So I don't remember my head. I never did remember my head hitting the ground. But what I do remember is seeing my head hit the ground, or at least knowing that I hit the ground. But I was out already. I was already out of my body before any pain, was had. And then I was in, I guess, in suspended in the air. I don't think I noticed like right away what was happening below me, but I like a lot of people ask me, like what did you see? What was the background? Like where were you? And I don't know because it was really more of a feeling than like a background or an actual, location. I was in something that felt very, very comforting. I guess I don't know because I was a child or this happens to everybody. Well, it happens to a lot of NDers of all ages. So it was a feeling of comfort, like when you're sick and your mom is there, and that feeling you get of comfort, but like that times like 100, you know, 1,000. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, and then yeah, and so then a voice came, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Even if I had a body at this point, I don't know if the voice came in, if I did have a body in my head or where it came from. But I heard a voice, and the voice was telling me. It said a few comforting things, and then it was basically telling me to take a look, below and just observe what you see below. So I did. I looked around and I saw. I didn't even question who this being was or anything. I was just like, okay. And so I looked below and I saw a bunch of kids in snowsuits and a few adults, and then a little cluster of kids in one area with one adult peering in. And so I couldn't even really see myself yet, and nor did I actually know what was going on because I didn't remember what had happened. I didn't really, I just was in the moment. I didn't even really know what happened. I didn't really know who those people were, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what I was looking at. And then, so right at that moment, I instantly got a new perspective. So now I'm like one of those people that are looking over this child on the ground, which was me. So I could see me, but still I don't really know. I haven't made that connection yet, but I do see that there's a kid sleep like passed out or whatever, and a lot of people were in distress. I could feel that energy quite strongly. And then it kind of went back and forth, and then eventually at one point I was my own perspective, even though I was passed out or my eyes were closed, I could see like that perspective of my own, looking up at the people. I could see their faces, and I can, not all of them, but especially the adult, the teacher, I could really hear what he was thinking, and like feel what he was thinking and feeling, and hear what he was speaking at the same time. And like even though he was consoling the other kids and so like trying to calm them down and tell them not to touch me and things like that, I can hear that he was panicking a lot. And then back to the other the bird's eye view and the voice. The voice was then sort of trying to get me to realize something. Like what can you observe there between the kids that you see and all this kind of stuff? And I saw that well, I mean, most of the kids were white, Caucasian, and then there was me and this other little East Indian boy. So the only, thing that I can think of was that. So I expressed that, and they're like, yeah, yeah, that's the key. So I'm like, okay, like why? All right, what else, And and it's not that things were in code, but they were very gentle and kind of like felt like they wanted me to figure it out and not have to guide me as much. So I could feel that they were waiting for more from me. So, but I said, I don't know what you know, what you want me to say other than we look a little different. And they said, yes, you look a little different, but you are just as special and just as beautiful as everyone else. And not to ever forget that, no matter what. Sorry. And another interesting thing was that I never knew that our teacher's assistant, who was this big, tall man, had carried me over his shoulder into the back into the school. Like I saw that from outside of my body somewhere. I could see it happening. And that's really basically it. Then I woke up, cut to me feeling nauseous and throwing up at that desk. So that's it. That's my near death experience. And please comment below if you have any questions, and if you guys have any show ideas, any guest ideas, I welcome them. And if you want to contact me, you can do so in the comments, or you can email me personally. I'll put it up on the screen and in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for contributing to the channel and for all your support. I love you guys.